Welcome back to Circling Seattle Sports on Converge Media. I'm your host, as always, Charles Hammaker. I apologize for the quick hiccup to begin things there. We're in the middle of the month of May. The heat, man, goodness. I know folks, whether they're transplants from California or, they're used to heat in different spots. Forgive me. I am not used to the heat here in Seattle. So when we get that, when it's 80 like it was today, I apologize. This is being recorded in advance. Due to some fun things we're doing on Monday. So it was Sunday, the 14th Mother's Day when this was recorded. A quick happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there that, support us. My mother was huge, obviously, in everything that I do. But my grandmother's played a very big mother role in my life. So I want to wish happy Mother's Day to my mom and my grandmother. Firstly, to get things going. But anyway, the heat, I don't do well in the heat. So we'll continue on here with our show today, Monday, May 15th. Things are starting to pick up. There was a while there where the Seahawks and the Storm kind of were dormant, and we didn't have much to go on in those teams. And now they have the Seahawks here will kind of stop things for a bit. But regardless, things are busy for them right now, and the Storm are about to get underway for the regular season. So with all that being taken into consideration, we're going to move on here to the Seahawks segment of the show, where we get straight into sort of team notes here. On the 9th of the month, the team invited linebacker Dylan Moses to rookie minicamp. He's a two-time All-American and a two-time national champion, last playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So some more linebacker depth there, again, outside of Devin Bush and Bobby Wagner. Until Jordan Brooks returns from his injury, Seattle's trying to figure out some linebacker spots and who they will have on the outsides there as they continue to run that 3-4 defense this season. And then on the 10th, the team signed running back Bryant Koback to fill out their 90-man roster. He will be at that rookie minicamp. Spent some time in the NFL, was with the Vikings previously. So that'll be interesting to see. Had a 1,400-yard season in 2021 his last year. What state? I want to say it was Toledo. I apologize. I thought I had a better – it was Toledo. Hey, I remembered that. So that's good. On the 11th, there were some roster-related moves. The team restructured wide receiver Tyler Lockett's deal. They converted $8.53 million of his base salary into a signing bonus, creating $5.69 million into cap space. Then later on in the day, a move was made to sign defensive end Mario Edwards. Edwards signed a 1-year deal. He's a 9-year veteran. He had 3 sacks and 7 starts for the Titans last year. So limited action, obviously. But any sort of front 7 move here is Seattle looking to improve their pass rush. Against pass rush has been an issue for this team for a while. They had tried to address it in the draft with Derek Hall, Cameron Young coming in. We'll get to minicamp here in a second. Excuse me. Maybe a bug there. But yeah, Seattle obviously looking to address the pass rush issue, and that's a reason for bringing in Edwards despite the limited time. Pete Carroll said at the beginning of free agency they had a discussion with Edwards, and they liked what they saw from him. So now they're bringing him in after restructuring Lockett's deal. We're going to quickly go over here rookie minicamp, some takeaways from rookie minicamp. The Seattle's 2 top picks were relatively quiet. Where did we go? Devon Witherspoon and Jackson Smith and Jigba were limited participants due to hamstring injuries that they dealt with during the pre-draft process. They did participate in walkthroughs and some positional drills, but did sit out during the team periods in 7-on-7. They're both precautionary measures. I know that there was concern with Jackson Smith and Jigba as he missed 2022, most of 2022 with a lingering hamstring. But he said he's taking it slow and taking it one step at a time, and he feels 100% ready to go. Smith and Jigba was spending a lot of time with the receivers coach, Sanjay Lal, who is also the passing game coordinator. He would join the huddle. Then when the player at his position went to line of scrimmage, he would stand about 10 yards behind him and mimic his stance in any pre-snap motion. So he's basically, not to use the word again, but going through the motions despite not technically being involved. Seattle does have 3 of their draftees under contract, and Cameron Young, their first-year nose tackle. Okay, sorry. Cameron Young is under contract. Jonah Tavai out of San Diego State is under contract. And then there was one more I missed. Where did he go? Robert Cooper out of Florida State, FSU. So I know that was a big issue with Al Woods signing somewhere. Seattle wanted to bring Woods back at a lower price than he initially would have come at, but they didn't do that. They do like that Cameron Young came into minicamp adding, I believe, 20 more pounds than he had at the draft. Trying to get all the notes that I had on minicamp here. Coach Carroll did confirm that the team will sign Mario Edwards. They don't have any contract terms recently available, which is interesting. He's a 29-year-old. He had 11 quarterback hits last year with those 3 sacks that I mentioned. Yeah, nothing too crazy in terms of stats. Excuse me. Seattle's expecting Edwards to immediately factor into the pass rush packages. So yeah, this is all something that Seattle's looking to get after the quarterback, and that's a big aspect of things here. Obviously, as Seattle tries to help out their secondary after the pass defense game really took a hit last year, and they just couldn't really rush the quarterback in general. In addition, with the nose tackle trying to sturdy up that run defense a bit more as well. So those are notes from rookie minicamp. It's a very small thing. Then the NFL calendar kind of gets boring. There's a May meeting around the NFL, but that's about it for a while. So that might be the last of the sort of Seahawks things that we hear for a bit, outside of maybe injury news and maybe free agent stragglers here and there. The 2023-2024 schedule has been released. Excuse me. And the preseason games, I don't believe we have any more Seattle information because we were given who the team's going to play, but not the times and such for the preseason. We'll see here. Oh, yeah, we do. Okay. Nope. To be determined still. Great. So the preseason, typically Team Seattle doesn't really play during the preseason. Week 1 versus the Vikings at Lumen Field. Week 2 versus the Cowboys at Lumen Field. And then Week 3 at Green Bay at Lambeau. So Vikings and Cowboys at home, weeks 1 and 2, and then the Green Bay Packers on the road in week 3 for the preseason. Then the regular season begins as Seattle looks to build off the impressive 2022-2023 season that nobody expected them to have, except for maybe themselves. Starting here, week 1, September 10th versus the LA Rams at home with a 1:25 p.m. start. So Seattle gets to start things off with how they ended last season against the Rams at home. It's always nice to start the season at home. It just feels better, in my opinion. Week 2, they head out on the road on September 17th to play the Detroit Lions. I apologize. I had baseball in the mind there with the Tigers. Detroit Lions with a 10 a.m. start. Then week 3, September 24th, they come back home versus the Panthers and Bryce Young, the number 1 overall draft pick, with a 1:05 p.m. start. Week 4, head back out on the road. You're going to notice a little bit of a pattern here. Seattle does not play any back-to-back 10 a.m. road games, which is nice. But regardless, week 4, October 2nd at the New York Giants. That's a Monday Night Football game at 5:15 p.m. Pacific time. That's Seattle's first primetime game of the year, heading out to play the New York Football Giants on Monday night. Week 5 is their bye week, a bit of an early bye week. Not the most helpful, as Seattle has a tough stretch towards the end of the year, but it's not like we can do anything about it. Week 6, October 15th at the Cincinnati Bengals is a 10 a.m. game. That'll be a big one. Joe Burrow and that Bengals team that should be near or around the top of the AFC again this year. Week 7, October 22nd versus the Arizona Cardinals at home. That's a 1:05 p.m. game, the first time they play the Cardinals. Week 8, October 29th versus the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson at 1:05 p.m. Pacific time. First time the Browns have been here since, I believe, Johnny Manziel was the quarterback a few years ago when they came to Seattle. Week 9 is November 5th at the Baltimore Ravens, a 10 a.m. start. So they head out to Baltimore for the first time since, I believe actually Chris Matthews had a good game in that year. Russell Wilson had 3 passing touchdowns, I believe. Week 10, November 12th. Is this on the? Oh, yes, we have to switch to the second half here. Week 10, November 12th versus the Washington Commanders at 1:25 p.m. Pacific. Week 11, November 19th at the Rams, 1:25 p.m. So they finish off their 2 games against Los Angeles. Week 12, this is where things start to get interesting and more interesting. November 23rd versus the 49ers, 5:20 p.m. game. That is Thanksgiving, and that is Thursday Night Football. So Seattle gets the primetime game on Thanksgiving in their own building. That'll be a really big set. Week 14, nope, I skipped one. Week 13. So Seattle has back-to-back primetime games. Week 13, November 30th at the Cowboys is a 5:15 p.m. game. So they're on the road, and it's a Thursday night game. So they have back-to-back Thursday night games. I believe there's a stretch of 3 games within 12 days, which is kind of rough. And then week 14, they will play the Niners 2 times in 3 weeks. December 10th versus the Niners is a 1:05 p.m. Start time. Oops, that's at the 49ers. I apologize. Week 15, December 17th versus the Eagles at 1:25 p.m. Pacific. So the reigning NFC champs, Seattle, will host them, and Jalen Hurts in his big new contract. Week 16, December 24th, Christmas Eve at the Tennessee Titans on the road, which is a 10 o'clock start. Week 17, the last road game of the year, December 31st, New Year's Eve versus the Pittsburgh Steelers is a 1:05 p.m. start. And then week 18 on the road at the Cardinals to finish out the regular season. Time to be determined, the regular season finale. So that is, excuse me, the 2023-24 regular season slate for our Seahawks, who are hopefully looking to build off of, again, a surprise postseason berth this past season, adding what looks to be some key draft pieces this year, and adding a few big names in free agency as well. And Draymond Jones, obviously Bobby Wagner, who you just saw on the screen, and get Jamal Adams back at some point during the year as well. John Schneider wouldn't comment on a specific timeline, but this did say that he was progressing well, and they're excited to try and get him back for, the first few years he's been here, obviously been banged up with injury. So they're looking to get him back full swing and get forward to that, obviously. Oh, Julian Love, Dongan safety, is another key free agent addition for Seattle. So quick stop in league-related news. May 12th, Tom Brady is reportedly eyeing ownership, a stake there with the Raiders. The retired quarterback is in deep discussions to become a limited partner of the franchise, which is very interesting, at least considering if you know Tom Brady's history with the Raiders, but I digress. And then on the 12th also, the Washington Commanders were finally sold. The Josh Harris ownership group that includes Magic Johnson agreed to buy the team from the Snyder family. So that hopefully is the last of that saga, and I can stop having to worry about talking about the Commanders. So we move over here now to our Seattle Mariners, who finished up a quick 6-game road trip and head out on a 9-game trip on the eastern side of the country with some tough teams to play, beginning with a little bit of an easier team to play. This will give them a fight in Game 3. But we'll get to it, beginning with the 3-game set against the Texas Rangers to finish out that homestand. May 8th versus the Rangers was a 1-2 loss. Our player of the game, first baseman Ty France, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 RBI. It was a solo homer. It was the only run that the Mariners would get across in that game, unfortunately. Just a tough one. Logan Gilbert didn't pitch a bad game, but John Gray across from him pitched arguably an even better one, and the Seattle Bats obviously didn't put up much of a fight either, considering how they've been for the majority of the year. May 9th, our photo of the game by Liz Walter. Ty trying to catch the sunflower seeds in his mouth after that solo homer as he holds the trident there. It's always fun to see the different trident shots that our photographers get. This one is no different, considering excuse me, trying to catch the sunflower seeds, which have become part of the Trident celebration, if you've seen any of those. May 9th versus the Rangers, a bounce back 5-0 win. So Seattle is able to shut out, again, a Texas team. I don't know if you've read any of our recaps of the games or not. Obviously, maybe you're new to Circling South Sports on Converge. But if not, if you check our Circling South Sports' website or Converge's website on the blogs tab or our article tab, you'll get our game recaps of every home game that our teams play in the city of Seattle. Yes, this Rangers team has been, at least during this series, the stat was still accurate, so it could be wrong by now. But the Rangers have been the best team in runs per game in all of baseball. They've got a lot of good contributors right now. They finally seem to have things clicking in Bruce Bochy's first year as the manager, and I don't know how long that'll last. I don't know how long some of these players will hold up in terms of injury. Obviously, you look at Jacob deGrom. Hopefully, you don't want to wish injury on anybody, but he's dealing with something right now. So point being, this is a good Rangers team. So to blank them was very nice. George Kirby is our first player of the game, having an excellent 7 innings pitched, 6 hits allowed, no runs allowed, no walks, and 9 strikeouts. And our second player of the game is catcher Tom Murphy, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, and 1 walk. Featured in our photo of the game by Brian Saldana, as the Murph is usually the one who dishes out the Gatorade Bass, but he willingly accepted this one and just kind of let it all hang out. May 10th versus the Rangers to close out the series. Seattle set up the rubber match, wanted to get the win here, the series win. They couldn't do so. They would lose 3-4. Our player of the game, shortstop J.P. Crawford, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 RBI, and 1 walk. This is a tough one. It was like the story of most of the year for Seattle. Their starting pitching did all they could. Texas added runs kind of throughout the course of the game. They didn't get like a burst inning per se. The Mariners brought it within 1 late, but were not able to push the tying run across and would fall to end the homestand at a 3-3 record. Our play of the game is not necessarily directly related. Our photo of the game, is not directly related to any of the action, but our photographer on site, Liz Walter, got a great photo of Gino here putting on his glasses. A little bit of an expression, so it's nice to see that, which, obviously trying to bring the good vibes. So we move over here now to the Tigers series to start a three-team, 9-game road trip. And it started out well. May 12th, the first game of the series, a 9-2 win. Our player of the game, center fielder Julio Rodriguez, 3 hits, 2 runs, and 4 RBIs, including a 2-run opposite field homer. If you haven't been following it too closely, the Mariners have moved Julio out of the leadoff spot as he's struggled a little bit at this point of the year. And he's seen some better results over the past 7 games. Not the greatest batting average, but he's had some better days, which is a positive sign. So hoping just to continue to build upon that as the season rolls on. May 13th at the Tigers, a 5-0 win. So Seattle gets the first 2 games of the series, takes the series win. And our player of the game, number 1, Bryce Miller, continues to be excellent for the Mariners in his first 3 starts. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, given up, no runs allowed, no walks, and 3 strikeouts on 82 pitches. And our second player of the game, designated hitter Teoscar Hernandez. Teo getting a day off in terms of playing in the field, produces 3 hits, 1 run, and 2 RBI, including a solo homer at the dish. Nice for him as well. He had seen some struggles to begin as well. May 14th at the Tigers, trying to close things out, unable to do so, a 3-5 loss. The Mariners had a grand opportunity at the end of the game with 2 runners on, just couldn't get anything to go. Our player of the game, Julio Rodriguez, once again, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 RBI, and 1 walk. So we'll go quickly over to our player of the week here before we talk about those past 6 games. Our player of the week, obviously, first baseman Ty France, as you can see on your screen. 6 games played over the past week. 10 hits, 5 runs, 1 homer, 4 RBI, 1 walk, a 370 batting average, a 433 on base percentage, and a 519 slugging percentage. This is actually over the last 7 games. I apologize. So, I mean, I'll look at it this way. We kind of talked about it. There we go. Kind of talked about it as we went through the games there. The Rangers are a good team to begin the year. They've got some damn solid starting pitching. That doesn't include Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi right now, who are out with injury. And they've got a lot of talent as well, in terms of just their starting lineup. They don't have Corey Seager right now, but Marcus Semien played a factor in that game on the Wednesday to end the series, the getaway game. Adolis Garcia leads the league in RBIs. The rest of the numbers aren't too crazy, but he's had a solid year. Josh Young is still an exciting player. They've got talent up and down that lineup, and they've been able to produce this year. They've been one of the best teams in the American League this year, one of the best teams in baseball. Really good offensive team as well. So that's why, you lose a series, yes, but to lose the series by a combined 2 runs is not bad, and especially considering that if you look at like the margins of victory, Seattle won the margins of victory by 3 runs technically. So could be worse. It's May, so I'm not worrying about things. Again, this team was under 500 in June, I believe, of last year, 10 games under 500, and they were able to make the playoffs. So I'm not worried about it. You just like to see continued consistent growth, whether that's at the plate, being able to be more consistent at the plate, not having just one burst of an inning of offense, and then trying to let that be the only run support that you give your starting pitchers. The starting pitching has been still damn solid. When I made the statistics graphics for today's game, where was it? The team's batting average against, and what are the batting average against, and what was the other? Oh, goodness. I apologize. There were a bunch of things to pay attention to today. Let's see. Starting pitching. Team ERA was second in all of baseball, and the opponent batting average was third in all of baseball. So you have those 2 stats, both of them being in the top 3 in all of baseball, considering some of the rotations that there are. It's pretty good, and it's hard to be mad at it. Some pieces of the bullpen have struggled. Matt Brash really struggled in this the May 14th loss against the Tigers. So it's been tough for Brash. I feel like, and I could be missing something out of this, but it feels like they've had to use Brash a little bit more. With Andres Munoz out, Diego Castillo being sent down to Tacoma, Matt Festa being sent down to Tacoma. You've had Gabe Spire and Justin Topa, and Spire, Topa. You've had some guys step up, obviously, but I feel like they've had to lean on Brash a little bit more in some extent. And I feel like it might be getting to him a bit. So I don't know. We'll see. But overall, not a bad past 6 games, it's funny. You go 3-3 here as well, similar to the past homestand. So again, it's May. You've got some important guys injured. Julio's trying to get out of that slump. Ty France is hitting well. JP Crawford's hit well. Colton Wong and Jose Caballero have started to pick the pieces up a little bit. Eugenio's in a little bit of a slump. Jared's been Jared to begin the year. Teoscar figure things out. So, and Cal's kind of struggled, but Tom Murphy seems to be figuring things out a bit too. So it's like you're never going to have all of those guys clicking, right? I think it's about something, again, going back to it, being able to find a more consistent basis for everybody in terms of the best, at least, because a lot of those guys are playing pretty solidly out in the field. Seattle's ranked second in, I believe it's in team fielding percentage in all of baseball. So it's not like their defense is bad. I've seen, sorry, giant fly. It's not like Seattle's been poor defensively. I've seen that this course happen throughout the year to begin this 2023 season, and it just hasn't made sense considering where Seattle ranks defensively. So I think that it just might be fans overreacting. Lord knows that doesn't happen with Mariners fans. So we'll continue on here with some injury-related updates here on May 9th. We got some updates on some guys. Andres Munoz had a PRP shot in his shoulder last week, but he won't be ready to go out on a rehab assignment until the end of the month. Excuse me. First baseman Evan White will have another hip surgery that will keep him out for 3 months. So another bad beat for Evan White. It always sucks to see his name involved when it comes to injury-related updates. Infielder/outfielder Dylan Moore is getting closer to returning to baseball activity, and he could go out on a rehab assignment in 8 to 10 days. Remember, that is on the 9th, so we might see that in a few days here with the Rainiers. They just finished up a homestand against the Reno Aces. May 12th, we got some updates. Robbie Ray joined the team in Detroit. It's the first time with the team since surgery. I have to preface that he is looking at a return time of 14 months, so it's no more than him just joining the team, which is good to see. I know he's been an important clubhouse presence, especially to those pitchers, the younger pitchers. But it's not like he's joining the going to join the rotation anytime soon. And Penn Murphy is in Arizona and is set to throw a live batting practice, then get some games in down there. If all goes well, he should join the team on this current 9-game road trip. There's another injury to the bullpen. Goodness gracious. So we look ahead here for our Mariners, who sit at a 20-20 record on the season, 2020 vision. Fourth in the American League West right now, right below the Angels. The Astros have jumped up to second in the division, overtaking the Angels. They'll continue this road trip heading up to Boston, or if you want me to reference a song, because it's shipping out to Boston. All three of the games that they're going to play against the Red Sox on May 15th, 16th, and 17th are all at 4:10 p.m. Pacific, which is kind of odd, but I digress. Unsure currently if we'll see former Mariners starter James Paxton, who finally returned to action and had a pretty solid start this past week, actually. And it was nice to see that. Let's see. I wonder if it'll show us. He's not currently slated to start any of the games against the Mariners. So that's it would have been cool to see Pax. But just glad to have him pitching again. Anyway, those are the times and the days, obviously, for those games. Kind of makes it easy with all of them being at the same time. And then down to the Braves. This should be an interesting series. The Braves are a very good team with both great hitting and great pitching. They will play them May 19th at 4:20 p.m. Pacific time, May 20th, a 4:15 p.m. Pacific time start, and then May 21st, a 10:35 a.m. Pacific time start to finish out that road trip before they come back to Seattle. Who do they come back against? I forgot. I think it's the Athletics, actually. So we move over here to our Seattle Storm, who played a closed-door scrimmage down in Los Angeles. They would win that closed-door scrimmage, 76-69. Our player of the game, Arella Girantes, 13 points, 2 rebounds, and one assist and 1 block. She did all this off the bench, actually, for the Storm, who were able to end the preseason with a 1-1 record, which is nice to see. And again, there's been a lot of talk about this team. I have one friend on Twitter who continues to use the word tank with this team, and I like to have the hope that they're going to be able to, put some fight up, and not just kind of take the season lying down. I think there's a lot of, again, I will say this again, I think this is a team that has a lot of players that are looking to prove people wrong, whether it's people that passed up on them in free agency or cut them or this and that. And I think that all of that put together will come out with a pretty solid team, So after all, there's still Jewel Lloyd on this team. Young Ezzy Magbagor is still on this team. So, I want to have that hope in this roster and believe that they can do some damage, but we'll have to see. With all of that being taken into consideration, they have to come up with a final roster. We actually do have the date and time for when that final roster needs to be turned in. Thursday, May 18th, with a 2 p.m. deadline is when that final roster will be finalized. Seattle is already moving towards making that final roster, waiving 2 players over the past week. On the 9th, the team waived guard Jade Lovell. Lovell, the team's 3rd-round pick in the 2023 draft out of the University of Arizona, scored 4 points in 7 minutes on 2-for-4 shooting in the preseason game on Monday. She's a native of Sammamish, and she averaged 9.8 points per game in 32 games with the Wildcats in 2022 to 23. So again, this was a move that I saw happening. Again, it was very hard for me to envision Lovell making this roster. We talked about it on the Circling Seattle Sports recapping the 2023 WNBA draft for the Storm. It just seemed hard, and especially with a limited skill set, I didn't expect it to happen. Also considering the fact that there's a mixture of veteran guards and some young and higher prospect sort of guards on this team, so it just didn't seem to add up for Lovell to make this roster. So that's I obviously would like to see the locals get in and compete, but it just didn't make sense. Before we get to the other pick that was cut there, on the 11th, the team was reportedly still in the mix to sign Gabby Williams. Head coach Noelle Quinn said that she had talked to Gabby on this past Wednesday, and that there's a chance that she rejoins Seattle depending on how her team in France fares in the playoffs. Her team in France continues throughout their postseason run. Excuse me. So it likely becomes impossible that she can join the team. But head coach Quinn did not rule it out if her team made the finals. So I guess we'll have to see what the update is on that. The prioritization rule was specifically written to apply to free agents, to players who haven't completed their offseason playing obligations by the start of the season, quote unquote, shall not be eligible to sign a player contract covering all or any part of the 2023 season. So this rule by the WNBA just continues to hurt. I just think it continues to hurt them. You've got players who like to play overseas, and it is a big help to their career and their living to go overseas and play with these teams. So I don't know. I just think it's a stupid rule. I think it's harmful to them. So that sucks. But it seems unclear with head coach Quinn talking about if that team made the finals, that there's a possibility. So we'll keep an eye on that. But I'm right now going to close the door on the possibility of Gabby Williams joining the Storm. So also the broadcast schedule was revealed. We will go back over here. Here it is. Not major news, but it's something, obviously with women's sports, getting these games onto platforms that people can find is a big deal. So that factors into it. All 30 Storm games can be seen locally on Fox 13, so that's a big help, or Fox 13 Plus in the Seattle area, while the remaining 10 will be available nationally on ABC, ESPN, or ION TV. ABC or ESPN will carry 5 Storm games on its national platform, including 3 of the first 7 games of the season. Pretty good. In addition, ION, which is the KWPX channel 33 in Seattle, so that helps you there, is carrying 5 games as part of the national broadcast partnership with the WNBA announced this past week. All 30 of the non-national games are also available on Amazon Prime Video. That's where I watch a lot of them. So if you want to watch the W and you want to watch some great basketball, buy League Pass. But Amazon Prime Video, if you've got that helps as well. It's the official streaming home of the Storm. 4 of the Storm games will be available nationwide as part of the Amazon broadcast partnership with the WNBA, with the remaining 26 available to fans throughout Washington State. So yeah, that's a big help there. If you want to find these games, obviously when we do our game day posts week by week, obviously we'll let you know where to find these games. But it's important to sort of have this idea of where to find them and know that they're going to be where they're going to be at. Like especially with the NWSL, a lot of people are asking me about Paramount Plus. The Ren game today was actually on Fox 13 Plus, and we have that here, so that was nice. But yes, obviously being able to find these games is a big deal. So we continue with the cuts here. On the 12th, the team waived forward Maddie Williams. Williams, a 6-foot forward from Oklahoma, earned All-American honorable mention recognition in back-to-back seasons. She was Seattle's first of 2 picks in the second round, and she will not make the roster. I had a little hope that Maddie could make the roster, but also, same thing sort of in the guard department. There's just a lot of forwards on this roster, and it's going to be tough. There's not enough roster space. We'd like to see the WNBA change that going forward, but for now, that's just not the reality. And a lot of talented players will not be on a roster to begin the year. So we round out our storm here. The regular season is already coming up. I was preparing for the show when I was like, no, it can't be. There's no way. We've already got the regular season on tap. And it is. So May 20th versus the Las Vegas Aces. It's a Saturday. Yes. Oops. There we go. May 20th versus the Aces is a 12 p.m. tip-off against the defending champs, against a super team with Kelsey Plum, with Asia Wilson, with Candace Parker, with Chelsea Gray. Giving me a headache thinking about this team, especially saying the name Chelsea Gray after last year's series against the Aces, and just seeing that name again and again and again on the scoreboard. Terrible. Nightmare, in fact. So that's the regular season opener. It's going to be a big deal. Oh, shoot. All this stuff about telling you when these games, I try to say games and Aces at the same time, where these games are going to be broadcast. So this regular season opener, oh man, I say that and then shoot. Okay, we'll find it here. We will figure out schedule. The regular season opener for the Storm and the Aces is on ABC. All right, there we go. That helps you out there. That game will be on ABC, so that makes it easy to find for you. But also, if you're in the state of Washington, Amazon Prime Video help you out a lot there. Looking over to our Sounders here, they had an interesting week. You could look at these 2 results that they had as not positive, potentially. But one of the maybe few positives for the Sounders over these past 2 matches was Paul Rothrock. So we move on here to the first of the 2, May 10th at the LA Galaxy for another round of the U.S. Open Cup. Seattle would lose this one 1-3. An early goal got things started for the Galaxy, and then it was just kind of all Galaxy from that point in time, unfortunately. Rothrock would get a goal here, but the Galaxy just kind of ramped on, and they would move on, and that would end Seattle's participation in the tournament. Rothrock was our player of the match, a 7.5 match rating, 1 goal on 2 shots, and an 83% passing percentage. That's tough. The U.S. Open Cup hasn't been a big deal since Smetcher's been here. I don't necessarily blame him. It's nice to win trophies, but this one I'm not too concerned about necessarily. I still do like winning, but I don't think it's the end of the world here. We move over here to May 13th with MLS regular season play at the Houston Dynamo. Before this, no team had scored on the Dynamo in Houston. It took a while, especially considering the fact that in the 9th minute of the match, the contest had to be set into a weather delay because of lightning for an hour. And this goal didn't come until late in the match, and Houston actually had a few red cards happen. But Seattle would win this one on the road to pick up the points, thanks to another good performance by Paul Rothrock. 1 goal, which was the game winner on 1 shot, and once again, 83% passing. So, a bit of an odd week, as I said, but nice to get the points down there in Houston again, to be the only team that has scored on the Dynamo in their building this year. It didn't come until the 83rd minute. Rothrock had become a substitute. He's on a short-term agreement for that game. and he's scored in all three of the contests that he's been in with Seattle this year. So Brian Schmetzer talked about it in the postgame press conference. He's fought for the ability for a first team contract, and maybe he'll get it. He's played well. Excuse me. Sorry, folks. Again, I am battling whatever that is. He scored in all three of his first team appearances, which is, again, incredible. Let's try to see if they have a number on the red cards. Stephen Fry now leads the MLS in shutouts this year, which is nice to see. Okay, here we go. Houston forward Amine Bassi was issued a red card in the 21st minute, forcing the home side to play with 10. Hector Herrera was then issued a second yellow card in the 78th minute. So, yeah, Houston was down to 9 men, and it took until the 83rd minute for the Sounders to score there. So, unfortunate, but just glad to get the points. An ugly win for sure, but glad to get the points. We'll look at injury notes for these two matches. In this match against LA, Christian Roldan was out with concussion protocol. Kellen Rowe and Raul Ruidiaz continue to be out with their respective injuries. Rowe being a left knee sprain, and Ruidiaz being out with a hamstring strain. Both of those guys obviously out for weeks. And Nuhu was questionable with an illness but did not play. And then the injury report at Houston. 6 different players on the injury report. All of them out. Leo True is out with a left mid-foot sprain. Nuhu continues to be out with that illness. He's still battling with malaria, and he has been said that he's fine, but still working with that. Christian Roldan continues to be taken slow as he recovers from the concussion protocols, and they want to make sure that that's completely gone before he gets back to play. Kellen Rowe continues to be out. Same with Ruidiaz. And then Obed Vargas is out with international duty, and we'll get to that next. So on the 10th, Obed Vargas was named to the U.S. Youth National Team roster for the U20 FIFA World Cup. He is the youngest player on the team's roster. He was named to that final roster, which will take place in the U20 World Cup in Argentina. Head coach Mikey Varas named 21 players to his final roster for the upcoming tournament, lasting from May 20th to June 11th. They kick off Group B play on Saturday the 20th against Ecuador before facing Fiji on Tuesday, May 23rd, and Slovakia on Friday, May 26th. All three of the matches kick off at 11 a.m. and being broadcast on Fox Sports and Telemundo platforms. I might watch some of those then. The U20s are set to trade in Buenos Aires before traveling on Monday the 15th to San Juan, that's today, which is hosting all three of the group stage matches. So Seattle sits at a 7-win, 3-loss, 2-draw record. They are third in all of MLS and first still in the Western Conference, which is incredible to believe after the last few performances that they've had, including the Sporting Kansas City loss. Looking ahead, their next contest is May 17th versus Austin FC. They will play former Sounder Will Bruin, who actually was leading MLS in passing percentage, which was kind of funny. Excuse me. Back at home on Wednesday the 17th with a kickoff time of 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. Now, perhaps the hottest ticket, the hottest mention in all of Seattle, the Seattle Kraken here. Today is the day of Game 7, so if you're watching this, actually, we're just minutes before Game 7 puck drop. So we may have to figure out to schedule this a little. Ooh, giant fly again. Either schedule this a little bit before our 4 o'clock start time because puck drops at 5, or people just may miss the end of the show. So we're going to try our best. We'll get into here the last 3 games of the series. Game 4 was May 9th versus the Stars, a 3-6 loss. Our player of the game forward, Jaden Schwartz. Schwartzy, 2 goals, 2 points, a 1+-, 3 shots, and 4 takeaways. So unfortunately, it would send the series back to Dallas at an even 2-2. Seattle could not get in the upper hand there. Game 5, another unfortunate result on May 11th at the Stars, a 2-5 loss. Our play of the game, defenseman Adam Larson. The Big Cat was on the prowl with 1 goal, 1 point, 4 shots, 2 hits, and 1 takeaway. So Seattle is down 3-2, setting up a do-or-die game for them at Climate Pledge Arena in Game 6. They were able to respond with a win on May 13th, a 6-3 win. Two players of the game here, one of them pictured in our photo of the game by our photographer, Liv Lyons. Look at the Yanni Mean mug in the front. You've got 3 different reactions there from that line. And I think it's just great that this photo here was taken, considering that we had another sort of celebration photo early in the year from this line with Gord and Bjorkstrand and Tolvanen. And we get another one with the whole line here. Our first play of the game forward, Jordan Eberle, who is not pictured, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points, a 3+-, 3 shots, 1 hit, and 1 block. And our second, who is pictured, forward Ellie Tolvanen, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, a 2+-, 3 shots, 1 hit, and 1 block. Our player of the week, as we continue on, is for Jordan Eberle, as again, like last week, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points, 4 shots, 3 hits, and 2 blocks on those past 3 games. So Seattle's in it. Seattle is in it. They are 1 game away from the Western Conference Finals, just a year after their inaugural season that obviously didn't go the way that anybody wanted. They were picked to not make the playoffs this year, and they did that. They were picked to not get past the Colorado Avalanche in round 1, and they did that. So they were also heavily bet against in this Dallas series, and they've taken it to a 7th game. So a lot of people have argued that Seattle is playing with house money, and they are, but it's not unreasonable also to have both pieces. What's the term? You can have your cake and eat it too, considering that this is very possible that the Kraken can win this game and move on. They're going to have to start well like they did in Game 6 and Game 3 and Game 1. But one big key is protecting that high slot, that inner part of it, because if you look at moneypuck.com, great website, and you look at the scoring chances for the Stars and where they have succeeded, a lot of them are right in front of the crease, and that sort of thing can happen. Obviously, with Joe Pavelski, that can happen, and the ability that he has in front of the net, the expertise that he is able to display, that can happen with him. But in general, and that's just a standard hockey thing, and, surrendering those high chances, those dangerous chances, not good. We've obviously seen what Dallas can do when they catch Seattle in odd man rushes, just those rushes in general that the Stars get. So obviously, it's an obvious one, and it's not like an easy fix per se. But Seattle's, Hextall talked about it throughout the series. Seattle has to be detail oriented, and they've gone through a Game 7, so they know what they need to do. They've gone through these elimination games before now, so all obviously during this playoff run. So I think it's very realistic that they could do it. But obviously this is a Stars team that has a ton of talent. They're a deep team. Jake Ottinger is still Jake Ottinger. So I think if Seattle plays up to their potential, that they can win this thing. But it's going to be tough, and especially doing it on the road in Dallas. But again, on the other hand, there are a lot of counterpoint here with this Kraken team. So it's just been a lot of fun on this ride to cover this team. So excuse me, that's not fun. We'll look to something that's, I don't want to use that word again. We'll look to something that's not so positive here with injury-related news. We found out during the series that Daniel Sprong was listed day-to-day with an upper body injury. It is a head injury. I can confirm that. He won't be available for the rest of the series. He was on the ice prior to Game 6 on a non-scheduled morning skate. The scratches for the day, Cale Fleury, Jacob Megna, and Sprong were all out there with Chris Drieger getting work in. Andrei Burakovsky was there in flip-flops and a hoodie, and he was chirping Daniel Sprong. He wasn't doing any work, so don't get too excited. But it was good to see Sprong on the ice, be it that Burakovsky was chirping him or not. So we'll move on here with team-related news. On the 9th, it was announced that Chris Drieger, speaking of Chris Drieger, is the team's nominee for the King Clancy Memorial Trophy. He has been a big part in Drieger's Keeper, something that he started during his recovery to help goalies in the area get the gear that they need, get the training that they need, obviously considering the sort of price that it comes at. So literally price. On May 11th, the team signed defenseman Ty Nelson to a 3-year entry-level contract at $925,000 AAV. Nelson is expected to join the Coachella Valley Firebirds, who are set to face off against the Calgary Wranglers in the first game of their 3-round series. I should check if they got a number. We have a friend on Twitter who asked me what his number would be, and I had not seen it yet. But Game 3 is actually tonight against Calgary. Let's see. We go to transactions in the AHL. Okay, so the deal went through, but is he listed on the roster? Aha, he will be 24. Okay, I'll tweet at him soon. Nelson is a 19-year-old. He spent the 2022-23 season with the North Bay Battalion of the OHL, the Ontario Hockey League, setting career highs in goals, assists, points, and games played, and finished the year ranked third on both his team and among all OHL defensemen in scoring. His 76 points set a North Bay franchise record for most points by a defenseman in a single season. He had 25 points in their 20 playoff games, leading all OHL skaters in scoring. Wow. And helping the battalion reach the third round of the playoffs. Nelson's playoff run included recording an 11-game point streak, from April 5th to 23rd, which was tied for the longest postseason point streak during the OHL playoffs. The 5'10", 203-pound defenseman has totaled 127 points in 2 seasons in the OHL, both with the battalion. He earned all OHL honors, rookie honors, all OHL all rookie second team honors. I apologize. I promise you I can read. After recording 51 points and leading first-year players in assists, his 51 points led all rookie defensemen in 21-22 and were good for 5th among rookies in scoring. He was Seattle's third-round pick, 68 overall in the 2022 NHL draft. I'm excited about Nelson. He's got a really hard shot. Obviously, can jump into the play. He's not the biggest defenseman, but he is a sturdy guy from the blue line, and he's a fun personality as well. So just any comments around the National about Seattle not having a good system. Obviously, they've only been around for 2 years, but there's a ton of talent that's coming through the ranks of this Seattle development system. And I think any comment doubting that is stupid, arguably because those people don't pay attention to this team. So, in league news, there's not too much league news besides the fact, Ryan Reynolds won't pursue his bid of the Senators, so there's that. But on the Eastern Conference Finals, it will be the Florida Panthers versus the Carolina Hurricanes. So one of the Florida teams will be heading, not the Lightning either, will be heading to the Stanley Cup Final. We look ahead, and it's the big one. It's the two of the most stressful words in all of sports. Game 7 tonight, May 15th at the Dallas Stars at 5 o'clock. That game will be on ESPN. I don't know if we're going to make the marks, the hour mark, boys. We're going to try. We move over here to our OL Reign. A tough loss today out on the road. May 14th at the North Carolina Courage after finally getting a sort of week of rest/training. After the last week was 3 matches in 7 days. Our Reign fell on the road in a 1-0 loss. Our play of the match, outside wingback Sofia Huerta, a 7.3 match rating, 70% passing, 3 chances created. That's good in any game. And 75% of her tackles won. The Rangers couldn't get anything going really here in terms of offensive attack. Jordan Heidema had a solid header opportunity in the later stages of the match, but couldn't get it past Casey Murphy. And Tyler Lucy's goal in the first half loomed large as the Reign could not come up with an equalizer, unfortunately. Quinn was able to come back. They were available for selection in this match, and they did come out as a substitute later, but weren't able to provide that spark to help get an equalizer and or a victory. But in the end, good to see them back out on the pitch. The injury report against North Carolina, most of the usual suspects. Angelina continues to be out. I don't mean suspects in a negative connotation either. That's more so in a fact that they've been on this report for weeks now. Angelina continues to be out with that knee injury, but she is progressing well and participating in training with the team. Rose Lavelle continues to be out with a leg injury. That is something, again, that they're working on with Rose to make sure that she's ready to go for the World Cup. Phoebe McLaren continues to be out with a back injury, and Olivia van der Yacht continues to be out with an excused absence. So the Reign sit with I want to quickly touch on this. It's a tough loss at the end of the day. 1-0 always is kind of tough because you get shut out. You always wonder about how that one goal could have been prevented. I talked about it last week, I think, with not having the best success in North Carolina. That continues. So the Reign sit at a 4-win, 2-loss, 1-draw record. They are second in the league table behind the Washington Spirit with 13 points and first in the West of the Challenge Cup, with 4 points. Looking ahead, their next match is May 21st versus the New York, New Jersey Gotham at 3 p.m. Pacific time, back at Lumen Field, when the Reign will have a AANHPI Heritage Celebration, though that will be very cool to see. Please wish well your Filipino host here as we get through the month. So we move over now to finish out with our Seawolves, who things were looking too good on Saturday with the Seawolves. They were down 3-12 at half, and were able to make the comeback and get the victory against the third place Houston SaberCats, a 34-17 victory. Our player of the match, wing Ina Futi. So a week after Rickert Hadding records the third hat trick in Seawolves club history and the 26th in MLR history, Futi has a hat trick, 15 points scored, 3 tries scored, obviously for the hat trick, 9 ball carries, and 101 running meters. Seattle had only the AJ Alatimu kick through the first 40 minutes of the match. It was going kind of slow. Again, this is a Houston team that is in the third place of the Western Conference for a reason, but Seattle able to get a big comeback, not doing so without their captain, Rickert Hadding, and they get a big victory. I don't know at this point in time if they'll be able to catch up with San Diego in terms of the number 1 spot in the Western Conference or the league. But this is a big victory, irregardless of that, to maintain that number 2 spot in the West and keep up the positive momentum. They've now won 3 games in a row. So Toronto, Dallas, and Houston, knock on wood, as we continue out here through the final 2 months of the regular season. If you haven't been following along with it, and I just mentioned to you, yes, on the 9th, it was announced that number 8 and team captain Rickert Hadding suffered an injury in the match against Dallas, which required surgery. He will be rehabbing for a few weeks and should be back before the regular season ends, which should be good. But, with a performance like the Seawolves had against Houston, very good to see it, very positive, considering the fact that he's been such a big factor in this team and he's the team captain. So nice for Hadding to rehab there, and hopefully the Seawolves are able to step up and fill in that void as he continues to train and rehab. So the Seawolves sit at a 9-2 record, 44 standing points, good for second in all of the league, let alone the Western Conference. Their next game is back at home at Starfire Stadium. May 20th versus the Chicago Hounds is a 7:30 p.m. Pacific time start. Chicago, in their first year in MLR, has struggled, and Seattle will look to continue things going, tune up some things to finish out the season. Because of time constraints, not able to do the Sea Dragons. We'll do that next week. And our Seattle Star of the Week, to wrap things up, is Ina Futi with that hat trick. Again, very impressive to have 2 hat tricks in the past 2 weeks. But Futi's been a guy that impressed me in preseason, and to see him contribute in a game where Seattle was without their captain and needed to come back, and to have him be such a big part of that comeback was great to see. So hats off to you, Ina Futi, for that performance, and hopefully more to come. Again, I know he's a young player, impressed in preseason, at least to me. So anyway, it is a big day, Monday today, with the Kraken playing Game 7. We've got a big week ahead as just about all our teams are firing. So enjoy the weather, stay safe, use fans, or if you have air conditioning in Seattle, which isn't likely, do whatever you can, be safe, be well, take care of yourself, and do whatever you can to make today a great day. Love you guys. Take care.